do right-wingers feel this man, this accused rapist, is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape. And
this week on Get Me Right, we focus on the tumult in the world of AI as the big tech oligarchs face regulatory squeeze from left and right, from Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders alike. Also, Manipur flows against the tide as its citizens demand NRC to shield themselves against the trans-border infiltration from Myanmar. And finally, is India staring at a population collapse? As the latest government data shows, fertility rates down below the replacement levels, prompting policy response. This weekend, only on Get Me Right.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है?
अरे मेरी राजा,
राजा और मसाला केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े।
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
in fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma, who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very...
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
A very good afternoon. You're watching Republic. I'm Chongtham Amrita, and these are some of the top headlines that we're tracking for you at this hour. Indian Air Force cargo plane AN-32 crashes during landing in airbase in Jorhat, Assam. Pilot and co-pilot are reportedly safe. Massive uproar in Jammu over atrocities committed in PoK against protesters in the Long March. TMC rebels MPs to arrive in Delhi today to hold crucial meeting with Suvendu Adhikari on Sunday. CID and ED issue fresh notice and summons to TMC MP Abhishek Banerjee in connection with 3 separate cases. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar dials Marco Rubio to protest strongly against the US Navy strikes that killed 3 Indian seafarers. A big win for Indian defence as DRDO successfully conducts 3 consecutive flight tests showcasing a multi-layered ballistic missile defence. Beginning this bulletin with a major story now coming in as central government has taken physical possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground in Delhi's racecourse area, with officials of the Land and Development Office putting up a notice at the site declaring the land to be government property and cautioning against any unauthorized occupation or activity. A day after the Delhi High Court declined to stay the eviction order against the Indian Polo Association, the centre has now taken physical possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground in Delhi's racecourse area. Locks have been put in place and there were signboards also placed in front of the gate of the Jaipur Polo Ground in New Delhi. This is after an eviction order has been stayed by the High Court and now the Jaipur Polo Ground has been physically taken over by the central government, and there have been signs put up also outside of the structures. The gates have been locked now. Physical possession has now completed by the central government on this. And Right, I'm now joined by my colleague Sarthak, who has more details in the story. Sarthak, we would like to know more on this. We knew that before there was an eviction order that was stayed, and now the central government has taken possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground, which is in Delhi's racecourse area. Give us more details on that.
Well, absolutely, Amrita. What you see behind me is the Jaipur Polo Ground, which is part of the Delhi racecourse. As you can see, the gate has been sealed. The government has sealed the gate. As a matter of fact, they have completely shut down any sort of operation over here because they have stated that they have taken physical possession of the land. As you can see, they have also published a notice over here where this notice is in Hindi, where they have said that they have taken possession of this property under Land and Development Authority, and this they say, I'll read out the second paragraph of this notice, which says, इस भूमि पर किसी भी प्रकार का अनधिकृत कब्जा, अतिक्रमण, निर्माण अथवा अन्य अवैध गतिविधि करना कानूनन अपराध है, which means that any sort of activity or any sort of possession, any sort of trespassing into this possession will be a criminal offence, as government has taken control over this property, which is a long-term plan that government was planning to do in the Lutyens Delhi area of taking nearly 68 acres of the Lutyens Delhi area under government control, under government possession completely. This was a long-term plan, taking into consideration that it is a central part of the Delhi. It is a very critical part of the Delhi, and there are several reasons. Defense and safety and security is something that has been cited by the government repeatedly. That is one of the reasons why government is taking possession of these properties. This comes right after the Delhi Gymkhana controversy that erupted a few weeks ago, against which the Delhi High Court had to put a stay on that order. That is still ongoing. The matter is still pending in the Delhi High Court, and the race course area, especially the Jaipur Polo Ground, is the next which has been taken into possession by the central government. The gate is completely shut. It has been sealed. You can see the red mark which identifies that this gate is sealed. Nobody is allowed to enter inside, and if anybody tries to trespass into this property will be arrested, because it is a criminal offence. Notice has been issued.
Right.
So a lot has been happening in the Lutyens Delhi area. Government is taking control of these properties, and it's highly likely that some members may try to reach out to courts and take a legal route against this notice. And what will transpire in the court, this is something only time will tell. Amrita.
And also, Sarthak, this comes after last month the Delhi Gymkhana Club was also overtaken by the central government, and it looks like the central government is expanding this area. So can we expect more such closures of established structure in this area?
Well, absolutely, Amrita. As I mentioned before, this comes within the ambit of the 68 acres of prime land that government is looking forward to take it in the Lutyens Delhi area, that the government is planning to take into possession. This comes within that area. The Delhi Gymkhana was the first one. The now Delhi race course is the second one, and this is part of the Delhi race course, the Jaipur Polo Ground. And because as they have said, there is defense. This is a highly critical area where there is an Air Force station over here, and there are other concerns that have been cited by the government, specifically defense and security. That is one thing that they have constantly pressed upon, and this is something that we can look forward to. There are many more these properties, government properties, which fall in the Delhi Lutyens area, and it's much likely that the central government may try to take physical possession of those properties as well. Amrita.
Right. Yes, Sarthak, thank you for all of those details, and we'll get back to you shortly. And now, viewers, we have more breaking news coming in. And IAF flight crashed. 5 Indian Air Force personnel have lost their lives in the air crash involving the AN-32 transport aircraft at Jorhat Air Base in Assam. The co-pilot survived and is being provided treatment. The court of inquiry has also been ordered by the Indian Air Force to ascertain the cause of the crash. This coming from the Indian Air Force, and they have now confirmed that 5 who were on board the aircraft has now officially been confirmed that they have been killed in the crash. I'm joined by my colleague more on this story. Anirudh, we're now getting confirmation from the Indian Air Force that 5 who were on board have in fact been killed by the crash, although the co-pilot has survived and been rescued safely. Anirudh.
Yes, 5 personnel from the Air Force who were on board and 2 have lost their life. This has been confirmed, though the names have not yet been revealed by the Air Force. They will be making a formal statement in this regard. Luckily, the pilot and the co-pilot survived this crash. They are undergoing treatment right now at the military hospital in Jorhat. Their condition is reportedly critical, but what we are getting to know from our sources in the Air Force Station Jorhat is that both are stable as of now, and they are responding to the medications being provided. But yes, they are still not out of danger. They have sustained major injury, and both are right now undergoing treatment. Amrita.
Right. And Anirudh, also, can you tell us a bit more about the court of inquiry that has been ordered by the Indian Air Force to ascertain the cause of the crash now after the 5 Air Force personnel having lost their lives in the crash, and this matter needs to be investigated into more detail?
Yes, the court of inquiry has been ordered, and it is a regular practice as far as the standard operating procedure is concerned whenever there is a crash of a military aircraft, and the court of inquiry will look into all the aspects of what is the cause of the crash or what led to the crash. They will also investigate in detail the findings of the black box and other technical aspects as far as the aircraft is concerned. Let me also tell our viewers that as far as AN-32 and other military aircrafts are concerned, they they undergo regular inspections, and since this military aircrafts fly in some of the most difficult weather conditions across the northeast, and they have been playing a very vital role when it comes to supply of cargo and other necessary equipments and logistical support to the ground team in the far-flung areas all along the Indochina and the Indo-Myanmar border in the northeastern region. The AN-32, there are many numbers of AN-32 which are operational in this region, and they undergo regular checks. But yes, today also this AN-32, this ill-fated AN-32 made a sortie to some forward areas, and when they returned to the base at Jorhat, the Jorhat Air Force Station, after touching the ground, it crashed. So all aspects are being looked into. In fact, a preliminary investigation was ordered by the local authorities early morning today when the crash happened, and thereafter Indian Air Force has also ordered this court of inquiry. Though the findings of the court of inquiry will take time to come, but yes, the preliminary findings will be available within a day or two, so we'll be able to comment on what exactly caused this crash in Jorhat. Meanwhile, Assam Chief Minister is also in touch with the Air Force officials and Jorhat military station, and the local administration has also made available itself to the military station for any immediate support that is required. Amrita.
Right, Anirudh, thank you so much for all of those details and for getting us those updates, and we'll be continuing to track this story. And these are the latest that we're tracking, as now the Indian Air Force has confirmed that the 5 who were also on board the AN-32 cargo plane that crashed in Jorhat Air Base today has in fact lost their lives during the crash, although the co-pilot has survived and has been rescued safely. Now a court of inquiry has been ordered to investigate on the cause of the crash that took place in Jorhat Air Base today. These are the latest, as now the Air Force has confirmed that 5 Air Force personnel, in fact, have been killed in the crash. An inquiry has also been ordered into this. And the Indian Air Force have also confirmed that there were 7 people on board, and now the pilot and the co-pilot has been, in fact, been rescued safely, and 5 others who were on board the flight was in fact killed in the crash. And this is a cargo plane. The AN-32 was a cargo plane, a transit plane, and it was landing and in the Jorhat Air Base game when it crashed, when the crash happened, in fact. And the Indian Air Force has constituted a committee to ordered an inquiry into this as well to determine the cause of the crash. where 5 Indian Air Force personnel died when the flight tried to land and crashed during landing. And also, Anirudh, coming back to you once again, and we know that the court, an inquiry court has been constituted in this matter. And how soon can we find out when such an investigation is constituted? And this was not as where we have had many casualties in this crash, and it needs to be looked with much more with much more clarity and precision as well. How soon can we expect such a report that will come out, that will be made public? Anirudh. It seems that we have lost connection with Anirudh. Now we are also joined by Ishan, my colleague, who has more details on this. Ishan, as I was asking Anirudh, we would the public would want to know into more details and also the cause of the fire, of the crash that happened. With this inquiry now being constituted, how soon can we expect that to be made public so that we will know more details into this?
The inquiry of such a crash takes a lot of time because it has a lot of nuances and details that need to go through. Now, these are military aircraft, so not all of them, and especially the older models, do not have black boxes. So the difficulty here is to ascertain what is the cause of the crash, essentially relying primarily on first-hand account statements that will be given by the pilots. Luckily, in this case, both the pilot and co-pilot have survived. Unfortunately, a lot of 5 IAF personnel died. 3 of them Agniveers, 2 officers. One of the officers was also the technical officer on board of this aircraft. So we know that this is a very tragic incident, and we can see that these inquiries will take some time. Although this is not the first time that this is happening, and at times military aircraft inquiries are also not made public for certain reasons of national safety and security. So the public might not find out the cause of the crash. However, the military will conduct a thorough investigation, and the reports will be presented to the appropriate officials in the MOD. However, the current aircraft that crashed, the AN-32, has been the workhorse of the Indian Air Force for around 40 years. And it is now started to being phased out with the newer version, the C-295, coming to replace it. So we will be finding out the more details of the crash as soon as they come in. We confirmed that unfortunately 5 people aboard this aircraft have lost their lives. Details of them are still awaited, but it is known that there were 3 Agniveers and 2 officers who lost their lives. The pilot and co-pilot survived. So as of now, 7 people aboard the aircraft were there, of which 2 have confirmed survived and 5 unfortunately lost their lives in the line of duty. So this is a very unfortunate incident that takes place, and the IAF is certain to take cognizance of the same and ensure that such incidents don't happen in the future. Back to you.
Right. And Ishan, do we also know of any details of what happened moments before that, any Mayday call that was intercepted or maybe was made according to your sources? Do you have any more on that story, on that part?
Not a lot of is known about this crash, but what is known as this crash happened at the time of landing. So no Mayday call was made. It could be a technical error because most crashes that take place during landing stages of the aircraft are mostly due to technical issues with the aircraft. So the exact cause of the aircraft crash is very important right now, and we will be awaiting details. But right now, no Mayday call was made, and it was the only major fact is known right now is that it is a short runway on which it was taking place, but did not take importance right now. The most important part here is it was a short runway, and the plane crashed just after the landing. It was trying to attempt the landing, and it was during this phase of the flight that the crash occurred. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this, Ishan. And we will be continuing to track this story as it unfolds and what happened just moments before its crash. And now the Air Force have, in fact, confirmed that 5 people have been killed in this crash. And, well, the pilot and the co-pilot, in fact, was rescued safely. Right, and more updates coming in now in this crash. The Air Force aircraft crash. The Indian Air Force took to social media now and said that an IAF AN-32 aircraft met with an accident during a routine sortie today at approximately 10 o'clock at Jorhat, Assam. The crash site management and the initial inquiries are on at this time. The Indian Air Force requests everyone to refrain from speculation till preliminary results are not in. Indian Air Force deeply regrets the loss of lives and stands firmly with the bereaved families in this time of grief. The Indian Air Force will share more details as they are in. This is the latest statement. The official statement from the Indian Air Force has come out now, and they are now saying that they are confirming that AN-32 aircraft met with an accident. It was done during a routine sortie at around 10 o'clock today in the morning in Jorhat in Assam. The crash site management and the initial inquiries are also on it at this time, and the Indian Air Force has also extended solidarity to those who have died in this crash, and also that an inquiry has been constituted and that more details will be shared as they come in, the latest that we're tracking. Right, taking a short break for now, but this will be coming back with more stories and updates on the Indian Air Force aircraft crash after the Air Force has now confirmed that the AN-32 has crashed and 5 people lost their lives during the crash. Coming up next after a very short break.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है, स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और परेशान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He is accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, And if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly, because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape, and hence we will celebrate him, we will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive, and the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then, this is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from the BJP, and hence he can be seen smiling after carrying out the act of rape, and people would celebrate him and say, no, our leader can do no wrong. That was another shameful moment for the right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, Jayant Sinha, remember, son of Yashwant Sinha, stood there, ladies and gentlemen, and garlanded people accused of lynching. And he had come to my studio and I had told him, Jayant, I think you should be ashamed of what you've done. Because for all the good you will do in your political career, this moment will be the black spot on your career. And therefore, my point is to those who call themselves right-wingers. You cannot be right-wingers, say you're fighting for the right, and be supporting lynchers.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा प्योर मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma, who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the House staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo moto? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer go to AIIMS that night to try and fudge the post-mortem report? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking these questions. Now I ask you, am I right or wrong in asking these questions? And if I don't, who will? Will the government of Madhya Pradesh raise these questions? The Chief Minister doesn't have 30 seconds to meet the victim's family. Will the higher courts of the country raise these questions? So far, I have not seen this case being picked up by the appellate courts, though we...
Very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching Republic Defense, the latest edition with me, Rakshita Mishra. We get you the big news this week, viewers. India boosting its war preparedness. India has successfully conducted 3 tests in 24 hours, viewers. And this is a boost to India's Iron Dome. That is the test we're talking about. Not just that, the anti-ship missile test has also taken place. Thanks to the DRDO, we get you details and the significance of this. Also on the show, we bring you how the SIPRI report highlights a change in India's nuclear posture, India's nuclear shift, the deployment of 12 warheads during peacetime. And also we have the Zojila breakthrough. India Republic TV brings you the ground report from the Zojila tunnel and how it checkmates Pakistan and China both. We also bring you the latest coming in as far as India's manufacturing capabilities are concerned. The first C-295, the first made in India military aircraft takes flight in Gujarat. So the big story, viewers, is India has taken the major stride towards building the robust indigenous missile defense architecture, with Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, successfully conducting 3 consecutive missile flight tests over 10th and 11th of June, reportedly. Now, officially, viewers, this is the successful testing of 2 advanced interceptor missiles designed for an intermediate range ballistic missile, that is the IRBM defense, capable of engaging threats. Viewers, let's just go to what the Defense Minister has in fact spoken about. He has on Saturday morning posted on social media platform X about the trials, about the tests. And in fact, this is the post by Rajnath Singh. Let me just read that out to you, viewers. This is the successful test as India joins elite group showcasing BMD and NASM MR tests. This is the naval anti-ship missile medium range test and the ballistic missile defense test, viewers. And this is the successful demonstration as it positions India among an elite group of nations possessing the operational level ballistic missile defense capability with the ability to intercept and neutralize ballistic missiles, including threats up to intercontinental ballistic missile class. And viewers, we have been joined by Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar, Strategic Affairs and Defense Expert, PVSM, AVSM and VSM. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on Republic TV. And it's great news that is coming in right now. India has been, testing several missiles in the past 1 year, sir, but this one has its own significance. How do you see this?
It's a very significant step which has been taken, and a great missile capability which has, accrued. Let me put it in context. There are two tests fundamentally.
Yes.
One test is the ballistic missile defense test. That means, as put out so far, you can intercept intermediate range ballistic missiles. Anything in intermediate range ballistic missiles are anything between 2,000 to 5,000 kilometers away. They can be intercepted now, or we have the capability to do so either endo-atmospherically or exo-atmospherically. Endo-atmospherically means that you can intercept them at the terminal stages of their flight. That's within the atmosphere, about 100 kilometers away, till where it has to reach, and we can also intercept it out of the atmosphere. So I think what two tests have been done. One is probably for a endo-atmospheric, that is within the atmosphere, and one is in space. This is a huge capability by any standards. The third test which has been carried out is not a defensive test. It's a strike test. It's a anti-ship missile capability which can strike ships far away. So all these three tests put India on a different platform. Now you have to consider this capability with the capability which we've had demonstrated over the past 1 year. We've been, we fired the Agni 5, we've fired the MIR, we've tested successfully the multiple independent re-entry vehicle capability we have demonstrated. We have also demonstrated the capability of firing from underwater platforms. We've operationalized the SSBNs. So I think there's a huge jump which has happened in our overall capability. And this also aligns, in fact, it doesn't align, it underpins what our Prime Minister spoke about, the Sudarshan Chakra, which is to be deployed. He spoke about this in the, Republic Day. And I think it's a huge jump. And kudos to our scientists and DRDO people. We are very proud of them. We could talk more because I'm sure there are more questions with you. Yeah, over to you.
Yes, sir. We will continue to talk about that. But in the meantime, we'll also, talk to you about the nuclear shift also in India's policy, which we want to discuss with you. Now, CIPRI report has revealed that India continues to strengthen its strategic deterrence. But what has happened for the first time is that during peacetime, India has deployed the nuclear warheads. Now, the report estimates that India now possesses around 190 nuclear warheads compared to Pakistan's estimated 170 warheads. India is also believed to be, as per the report, developing new nuclear delivery systems, including the longer range missile platforms. Pakistan has focused on expanding the fissile material production in the meantime. But if you talk about this figure, viewers, that we are running, India has deployed currently 12 of the warheads. 190 is the estimated total, the military stockpile. And compared to Pakistan, there's 10 more. So that, of course, is a cause of worry for Pakistan also. We'll just go across Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar on that as well. And not to forget, viewers, that India is the fifth largest military spender also as per this report. So General P.R. Shankar, how do you see this development? Because this is being touted as something that has never been seen before. Now, India, what is happening geopolitically is facing, multiple threats more than ever before. And now we have India deploying these warheads as per the reports again. And the numbers, will never be revealed, the exact numbers. But India has deployed this in peacetime. And especially we see this in context of what happened in May 2025 also.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing. This deployment of 12 missiles is basically your second strike capability. These are all deployed most probably in the SSBNs, that is your nuclear submarines. Right? We have 3 nuclear submarines, and out of these, normally one is out at patrol, which means that it's out on patrol with nuclear weapons. At any one stage, if there's a strike on India, you have this capability of striking back. So this second strike capability completes, or the underwater capability completes the triad. And India is one of the few countries, along with USA, UK, France, China, and Russia. And now sixth country, India has got the triad capability. This is more against China than Pakistan. This is something which I need to highlight. Well, Pakistan has 170 warheads, but let's not be sanguine about it because they are aggressively accumulating more fissile material, and we might see an expansion of this next year. But leave that as it may. This capability is going to increase as we go along. The capability of mounting missiles on the SSBNs and having a second strike capability, which gives us a huge lot of insurance. Now, you see this capability in conjunction with the anti-missile defense which we have, which brings out the fact that, look, you have the capability of intercepting incoming missiles, whether they are nuclear or otherwise, and you have the capability of striking back. So this in a combination is very good for India, and I think things will move ahead as we go. Yeah, there are issues which I must highlight. We are living in an age where there is no control, and there's huge nuclear proliferation and expansion of global missile capability, right? Because all the handbrakes on missile development, capability, utility, and all have broken down. The last treaty, the new START, that is Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, which came in place in 2010. In 2023, Russia pulled out of it. Now it is broken. Effectively, today there is no global system where you can which governs the deployment or employment of all these weapon systems, and we are almost free run. So we are and take into consideration all the wars which are happening in which all the superpowers are involved. Russia, China itself in the South China Sea, and USA in Iran. We are in a very unstable situation. We don't know who will fire off a missile when. Take that view. You now know that, okay, you have a capability to defend yourself against it and give them an assured second strike capability against that nation which takes this step against us. So I think this is a huge, up on our defense. And as we go along, as India's power grows, we need to have more of this.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, as I saw earlier, you did talk of the Zojila tunnel. We could talk of the Zojila tunnel now because that also has connect with what is happening, what we're talking of. We could do it now, or we could do it a little later after you show some visuals about the Zojila tunnel.
Yes.
Back to you, madam.
We'll in fact come back to you on that. But right now, let me just, viewers, in the meantime, tell you how India has also increased its military spending. Now, let's go across to the top 5 military spenders. US tops the chart, $954 billion. And that China is on the number 2 spot. Russia is number 3. Of course, it's also actively engaged in a war since now been more than 4 years. Germany, and then India is out the 5th spot. $92.1 billion as per the CIPRI report is the spending. If you talk about our country, this is a change, 8.9% of an increment if you talk about the increase. Now, it's a major milestone for one of India's most strategically significant infrastructure projects, and also, of course, very, very important to checkmate China and Pakistan. The Zojila Tunnel, 13-kilometer long tunnel, has achieved a crucial breakthrough, marking the successful completion. The excavation process, the phase has been completed. It's located at an altitude of nearly 11,800 feet. And it's the tunnel that is the world's longest high-altitude bi-directional road tunnel that provides all-weather connectivity between Kashmir Valley and Ladakh. Once operational, it will bypass the snowbound Zojila Pass, reducing travel distance by 27 kilometers and cutting the journey time by over 2 hours. For the armed forces, the project is a strategic game changer. The tunnel will ensure year-round movement of troops, military equipment, fuel and supplies to Ladakh, significantly reducing the dependence on the costly and weather-sensitive airlift operations. It will also, in fact, improve the force mobilization along both the line of actual control with China and the line of control with Pakistan, enhancing the operational readiness in a critical border region. While the excavation is now complete, work is underway on the ventilation system, safety infrastructure and the final tunnel lining that continues with the full project completion targeted for 2028. Now, why is it important, viewers? How does it bring an advantage to India? Now, the Zojila breakthrough, viewers, is very important to counter Pakistan also. In fact, this entire route had played an important role during the 1948 India-Pakistan war. Also, the Battle of Tanks in fact turned the tide, viewers, the Zojila battle. In fact, even during the Kargil war, Pakistan had targeted this particular route to cut the military supplies, to cut Ladakh off from India. And talking about right now what's happening, it will now connect the Kashmir Valley to Ladakh very, very easily and for the entire year. Crucial link on the Srinagar-Leh highway. There are two routes, of course, to connect, but this one is going to give a year-round connectivity. So even during snowfall, for months, this route would be shut. It would be blocked. Makes very difficult in times of battles. So it's vital for the troop movement. It's vital for military logistics as well. So now there will be continuous supply that cannot be stopped. It's key supply line to Kargil, Leh and forward posts, especially along the LAC and the LOC, of course. Critical for border security and operational readiness, viewers. And we are seeing that India continues to take the steps for operational readiness. And this is another boost for the same. So, viewers, in fact, my colleague Zina Dishan Fazal has filed this report from Ground Zero. She shows you this the Zojila tunnel from inside.
I'm inside the Zojila tunnel, which is the single tube tunnel, but it is a bi-directional tunnel. And today the breakthrough blast was observed, and it was done by the Union Minister Nitin Gadkari using the remote control detonator to blast the very site. And this is the visual that we are showing you. This is the site of that very blast. You can see this rocks are scattered all around, and many of the workforce, those who are part of this very project, are just still into their job. They're observing their surroundings here, although the tunnel will be completed by next year. The deadline is set for 2027 November, December. But meanwhile, we are seeing that the work in the progress and also the excavation part has already been completed, just remaining some 3-meter work which will be covered in couple of days from now. As far as the Zojila tunnel is concerned, this is one of the strategic important tunnel, because the forces, the army convoy, those forces that have been deployed along the line of actual control, they take their movement they will be taking the movement by using this very road. Although the work has been completed, meanwhile this is a horseshoe shaped tunnel, and it took almost 2021 when the work started, and it's 2026. In the last 5 years, the majority of the work has been completed, and the project cost was more than 6,800 crores that have been spent by the government of India to give this beautiful tunnel to the people of Ladakh and Kashmir.
And viewers, India's first made in India C-295 military transport aircraft successfully completed its maiden test flight at the Tata Airbus final assembly line in Vadodara of Gujarat. That marked the major milestone for country's aerospace and defense manufacturing sector for Atmanirbharta in defense. The aircraft is first of 40 C-295s being manufactured in the country under the deal that was signed, the 21,935 crore deal signed with Airbus in 2021. The program represents the first time a military transport aircraft is being produced by India, by the private sector under the Make in India initiative. In fact, it's designed to replace the Indian Air Force's aging Avro fleet. The C-295 can carry troops, cargo, medical evacuation teams and special operations forces as well, and is expected to significantly boost the Indian Air Force's tactical airlift capability, while also strengthening India's journey towards self-defense, self-reliance in defense and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So let me just show you what it's significant, how it's significant. The viewers, in fact, this is the C-295 aircraft. Its endurance is 11 hours, all-weather capability, 9 ton of payload capacity, 71 troop capacity, 40 to 50 paratroops capacity also. If you talk about the max cruise speed, that is 260 knots. It also has a twin turboprop engine as well. It has STOL, that is short takeoff and landing system also, and it is austere capable. Austere capable means that it can function, it can land or take off from remote airstrips, from unprepared airstrips as well. So very, very important for even the rescue missions, and when there are there are special forces also at work in difficult terrains. So in multiple terrains, in difficult terrains, in rugged terrains, on unprepared airstrips, this C-295 military aircraft can function. So this, of course, is a major milestone for India's defense capabilities. And viewers, with that we come to the end of the bulletin, but we now bring you a glimpse of the initiative from the Indian Army. The General Officer Commanding in Chief of the Central Command, Indian Army, Lieutenant General Anindya Sen Gupta, flagged off the Surya Green Himalayan Odyssey electric vehicle expedition from Kasauli this week. Now, in the expedition, 10 Tata electric vehicles will traverse the border areas and remote locations of Himachal Pradesh and Ladakh over 11 days, covering 1,663 kilometers before culminating at the Hall of Fame at Leh on 22nd of June. And the expedition is led by Major Aman Singh Yadav of the Golden Key Division and comprises 10 Indian Army personnel, 5 representatives from Tata EV and 2 digital content creators. Also, now the expedition route will traverse through the rugged landscapes of Spiti, Lahore and Hanle, Chushul and Tangste, that's negotiating some of the world's highest motorable roads. Expedition will pay homage at the Rezangla War Memorial, honoring the valor and supreme sacrifice of the soldiers of 13 Kumaon during the Battle of Rezangla in 1962. We leave you with a glimpse of that. Thanks for watching. Jai Hind.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरी राजा, प्यास बुझाए, ठंडक लाए, सबको भाए जीरा से। MTH का जलजीरा जीरा से।
जीरा से असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
MTH।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He is accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail. which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence we will celebrate him.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट, ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े।
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, everyday.
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma Neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance. What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo moto? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer go to AIIMS that night to try and fudge the post-mortem report? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking these questions. Now I ask you, am I right or wrong in asking these questions? And if I don't, who will? Will the government of Madhya Pradesh raise these questions? The Chief Minister doesn't have 30 seconds to meet the victim's family. Will the higher courts of the country raise these questions? So far, I have not seen this case being picked up by the appellate courts, though we are screaming and shouting about it. So I say tonight, what happens when other institutions fail? And if we do a media trial, should we be...
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching live and breaking on Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra. Now, viewers, at least 5 Indian Air Force personnel have lost their lives in a crash that took place in Assam. Getting you all the details on that, but first up, a quick check at the top headlines. Five Indian Air Force personnel killed after AN-32 crashes during landing at Assam Jorhat Air Base. Co-pilot survives the crash. After 5 Indian Air Force personnel killed, Air Force now orders for court of inquiry to be constituted in the case. Massive uproar in Jammu over atrocities committed in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir against protesters in the Long March. TMC rebel MPs to arrive in Delhi today to hold crucial meeting with Suvendu Adhikari on Sunday. External Affairs Minister S. Shankar dials Marco Rubio to protest strongly against the US Navy strikes that killed 3 Indian seafarers. Big win for Indian defence as the DRDO successfully conducts a 3 consecutive flight test showcasing a multi-layered ballistic missile defence. All right, we are starting this bulletin with breaking news we're getting at this hour. At least 5 Indian Air Force personnel have lost their lives in an air crash that took place in Assam. This involved an AN-32 transport aircraft at Jorhat Air Base in the state, and the co-pilot has now survived the crash, is being provided treatment at the moment. While the Air Force has now ordered a court of inquiry to be constituted in this case to ascertain the cause behind this crash. but we are looking at least 5 Air Force personnel losing their lives in this big crash that took place, in fact, at Assam's Jorhat Air Base. It was AN-32 aircraft, which was carrying about 6 passengers on board. It caught fire right after the crash and landing, leading to about 5 Air Force personnel losing their lives, while the co-pilot has survived the crash and is currently now receiving treatment at the moment. Now, there has been an inquiry ordered into this case to ascertain the cause and what exactly triggered this crash. But right now, we're getting some very unfortunate news that at least 5 Indian Air Force personnel have lost their lives in this crash that took place a few hours back. All right, my colleague Aniruddha also joins me with more details on this. Aniruddha, take us through the latest that we're picking up. We understand very unfortunately that 5 Indian Air Force personnel have lost their lives in this crash.
Yes, Amrita, in fact, since morning after the crash was broken, the news broke about the crash in Jorhat. There were many speculations. The IAF has also issued a statement asking people not to speculate and only to go by the information that is shared by the Indian Air Force official handles. As far as now, 5 IAF personnel have lost their life, and the IAF has confirmed that it was on a training sortie today morning when they landed at the Jorhat airport, and at the time of the landing, the crash took place. Investigation has been already ordered. A court of inquiry has been constituted to find out the details of this crash. Remember, AN-32 is an old twin-engine aircraft developed by Russia, and it has been used in India since very long. And particularly in the northeastern region, the AN-32 plays a very important role in supplying rations and equipments to the soldiers in the forward areas.
Right.
And the Air Force, the AN-32 also has a base in Jorhat, and it was in the base only where the pilots were undergoing training. And in a morning sortie training, today, this unfortunate incident took place where 5 IAF personnel has lost their life. The co-pilot, as you have already mentioned, has survived, and the pilot also, they are now undergoing treatment in the military hospital in Jorhat. Amrita.
All right. Thank you, Aniruddha, for joining us and giving us all these details. Only investigation will now tell what exactly triggered the cause and what is the exact cause behind this crash. And now we are shifting focus to what's happening in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The region continues to remain on the boil. In fact, we're getting some fresh visuals which have now emerged from Rawalakot showing how Pakistani forces are now using brute force on civilians which are taking to street in large numbers to protest against the anger that's growing now against Islamabad and the Pakistani military establishment. In fact, in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, viewers, 46 protesters have reportedly died since these agitations began, which have been going on for the past few days now. And about 1,100 people have also been arrested. A massive protest was also taken out in Jammu and Kashmir today by BJP following the refugee body, in which the protest was over the massacre of civilians in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and the brute force being used by the Pakistani Rangers against civilians. In fact, we're getting you fresh visuals from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, where you can see how Pakistani forces are open firing on civilians indiscriminately and using a brute force against these protesters. We'll try and get you the ambience also of these exclusive visuals that we've accessed from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
निशाना खड़ी है और जो गोली चलेगी उसमें हम इनके बराबर के हिस्सेदार होंगे। नारा कश्मीर, सहूलतकारों,
तुम कला थम हो, तुम कला थम हो, तुम कला थम हो, फसल कला थम है, फसल कला थम है, यजीद कला थम है, आसम कला थम है, तुम कला थम हो, तुम कला थम हो, तुम आजादी 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 आजादी
All right, viewers, now moving on. Central government has taken physical possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground in Delhi's racecourse area, with officials of the Land and Development Office now putting up a notice at the site declaring that the land is a government property. In fact, not just that, they also cautioned against any unauthorized occupation or activity at the premises of the Jaipur Polo Ground. This comes a day after Delhi court declined to stay the eviction order against the Indian Polo Association, and the centre has now taken physical possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground in Delhi's racecourse area. So we are looking at about over 15 acres of land in the heart of Delhi's Lutyens area. That is Jaipur Polo Ground that's now been taken over by the government, saying that the land will now be used for larger public purpose and benefit. That's the statement that we've gotten from the government, and those are the visuals of the polo ground, which has now been sealed, and a notice in fact has been put up outside the polo ground saying that this is now a government property and nobody is allowed inside, and any entry will in fact be treated as unauthorized activity. So this is the latest we're picking up as far as government's physical possession of polo ground goes. Remember, this comes right after the Gymkhana controversy in New Delhi. All right, so we are looking at central government now essentially taking physical possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground in Delhi's racecourse area, with the officials of the Land and Development Office now putting up a very clear notice at the site declaring the land to be a government property and also cautioning against any unauthorized occupation or activity. We're getting you visuals where the gate has now been sealed. The lock in fact stands sealed, and a notice has also now been put up outside the premises of the Jaipur Polo Ground. Now viewers, this comes a day after the Delhi High Court declined to stay the eviction order against the Indian Polo Association, which of course has opposed this move by the centre. But the central government remains adamant, taking a physical possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground, saying that the entire over 15 acres of land located in the heart of New Delhi will now be used for larger public purpose and benefit. All right, so that's the notice, in fact, put up outside the Jaipur Polo Ground. This comes right after the central government has now taken the possession of it, declaring it to be a government property and also cautioning against any unauthorized activity at the premises of the Jaipur Polo Ground. And this comes after the We saw how the Gymkhana controversy had also spiraled in the capital city. And with this, we are looking at the government taking a very hardline stance and declaring that the entire 15-acre land will be used for larger public purpose and benefit. All right, my colleague Sathak also joins me with more details on this. Sathak, take us through the notice that's now been put up by the central government as it takes physical possession of the Jaipur Polo Ground in Delhi's racecourse area.
Well, absolutely, Ishita. The Centre to the Land and Development Office under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has been trying for months to reclaim these areas which are prime government land in the Lutyens Delhi area. And the Jaipur Polo Ground is included in that. It's part of the Delhi Racecourse Complex. Notices were issued earlier this year directing the occupants to vacate. As a matter of fact, an eviction notice was also issued to Delhi Gymkhana a few weeks ago, where they were expected to vacate the property within 14-15 days, against which the residents of the Delhi Gymkhana, the members of the Delhi Gymkhana, reached out to the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court had put a stay on that eviction notice. So that case is still pending, and after this, the Jaipur Polo Ground is the next, which is part of the Delhi race course. Reports indicate that the action is part of a move to recover roughly 68 acres of prime land around the race course area, which is the low Kalyan Marg area, which has been occupied by the Delhi Race Club and Indian Polo Association. So the reasons that have been cited by the government, they have repeatedly given these reasons that it's extremely important for the safety and security of the country because it's a sensitive area. There are defense reasons which have been cited by the government, that due to which there has to be physical possession that has to be taken by the central government, and they are doing exactly that. They also placed a notice at the front gate of the Jaipur Polo Ground. They have sealed the gate, which means, and in the notice as well, they have issued that nobody will be allowed to enter the property, and if somebody tries to go against this notice or tries to trespass into that territory, he will be arrested, and there will be criminal charges that will be placed upon him. So the gate has been sealed completely. Nobody can enter inside. So it comes as a big development because, as I mentioned before, this comes within the 68 acres of prime land area. And government is looking forward to take physical possession.
Right, of course, Sathak. Thanks so much for joining us and giving us all these details. Now we're getting another breaking news. India, in fact, now gets a next Chief of Army Staff in Lieutenant General Dheeraj Seth. The government has now appointed him as the next Chief of Army Staff. Lieutenant General Dheeraj Seth has now been commissioned as the next Chief of Army Staff. In fact, he was commissioned into the Armoured Corps in December 1986. If you talk about his profile, he is currently serving as a Vice Chief of Army, and he has commanded an armoured regiment in the desert sector, an armoured brigade in the developed sector, and a counter-insurgency post in Jammu and Kashmir as well. He's also commanded Sudarshan Chakra Corps and later served as General Officer commanding a Delhi area, where he in fact oversaw major national and international engagements as well. Now, Lieutenant General Seth has also held key staff and strategic appointments, including a brigade major of an independent armoured brigade in Jammu and Kashmir, operations officer with the United Nations mission in Angola, assistant military secretary at the army headquarters, as well as a brigadier general staff operations at headquarters, Southwestern Command, while also including Director General Discipline, Ceremonial and Welfare. So he's held, in fact, several posts, and now India gets a new Chief of Army Staff in Lieutenant General Dheeraj Seth. Now here's a 48-year-old employee of the Tata Consultancy Services, Amit Brahmi, allegedly died by suicide at his residence in Pune's Pimpri Chindwar area on June 2nd. Now this has triggered a police investigation into the allegations of workplace harassment, and according to the FIR registered at the Bosari police station, Brahmi has now left behind a 2-page suicide note in which he accused 2 senior female colleagues and another colleague of harassing him in the workplace. Take a look at this report.
A tragic case from Maharashtra's Pimpri Chinchwad has sparked serious concern over the alleged workplace harassment after a 48-year-old employee of Tata Consultancy Services, Amit Brahme, allegedly died by suicide. According to the police, the incident took place on June 2nd at Brahme's residence. Investigators say he died by suicide and left behind a 2-page note detailing the circumstances that he believed pushed him to take the extreme step. The note allegedly states that the senior colleagues pressured him at work, assigned difficult tasks, took away key projects and repeatedly asked him to leave his job. Another colleague was also accused of repeatedly complaining against him and damaging his reputation. Based on the allegations mentioned in the suicide note, police have registered a case against the 3 individuals identified as Archana, Shashwati and Vinod Pali and launched an investigation. Meanwhile, TCS has expressed condolences over Brahme's death. TCS also said it is fully cooperating with the authorities as the investigation continues. Assistant Commissioner of Police Sudhakar Yadav confirmed that a case has been registered and that further investigation is underway.
All right, just getting more breaking news development at this hour. Another big blow to Trinamool Congress as MP Sudeep Bandyopadhyay has now reached Bhupendra Yadav's residence, and Shatabdi Roy is also present at Yadav's residence. In fact, Nishikant Dubey left Bhupendra Yadav's residence just a short while ago. So there's a crucial meet underway at Bhupendra Yadav Union Minister's residence, where you can see TMC MP. In fact, 2 of the TMC MPs that we do have names of include Sudeep Bandyopadhyay as well as Shatabdi Roy. Now, these are 2 TMC MPs which are present for this crucial meet that's underway at Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav's residence. So now the big scoop on what is brewing inside the Trinamool Congress. The revolt has now reached New Delhi, and crucial meet underway with the Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav. Another meeting had already taken place of the rebel faction just a few days back, and now today as well. We are looking at rapid developments happening as rebel faction of TMC MPs are now in the capital city. Revolt has reached New Delhi. All right, my colleague who's tracking this, Harsh, also joins me. Harsh, take us through the details of this meeting which is set to take place at Bhupendra Yadav's residence. We understand TMC MP Sudeep Bandyopadhyay and Shatabdi Roy are present there. Right, can you hear us, Harsh? All right, we'll try and connect with my colleague there. But viewers, we're also getting you visuals of TMC rebel MPs now reaching, in fact, Bhupendra Yadav's residence. They are in the capital city. They're all set to meet CM Suvendu Adhikari just tomorrow. And on Monday, they have a meeting with the Lok Sabha Speaker as they stake claim to TMC's symbol. So this is the mutiny, the revolt within Trinamool now reaching Parliament, reaching the capital of the country. And we have 2 TMC MPs, which are rebel MPs, including Sudeep Bandyopadhyay and Shatabdi Roy, who are now having a meeting at the Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav's residence. So it's a big Republic scoop, getting you all the details of how the collapse of TMC is unfolding at the moment, getting you minute by minute details of what is unfolding right now in the capital as TMC MPs now meet Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav. In fact, we understand that Nishikant Dubey was also there, and he just left the residence a short while ago. But right now, more and more developments coming to light as the TMC continues to collapse with ava. We're getting you details of TMC MPs who have reached the residence of a Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav. This includes Sudeep Bandyopadhyay and Shatabdi Roy. They're 2 of the rebel MPs among the 20 MPs who are all set to break away from Trinamool Congress and claim that they are the real TMC. All the 20 MPs, in fact, will be meeting CM Suvendu Adhikari tomorrow, and they also have a meeting with the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla on Monday, as they will be staking a claim to TMC's symbol. All right, with that, we come to the end of this edition of Live and Breaking. Thanks so much for watching, and don't go anywhere. On the other side, getting you all the details of how it's a big boost for Indian defense as DRDO now successfully conducts a 3 consecutive flight test showcasing a multi-layered ballistic missile defense. All the updates are lined up on the other side. Stay tuned.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला
13,000 placements last year. At Amity, we are committed to nurturing passionate, hardworking and proactive professionals.
प्यास बुझाए ठंडक लाए सबको भाए जीरा से MTH का जलजीरा जीरा से
जीरा से असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
MTH
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence we will celebrate him. We will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive. And the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then. This is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from, the BJP and hence he can be seen smiling after carrying out the act of rape. And people would celebrate him and say, no, our leader can do no wrong. That was another shameful moment for the right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, Jayant Sinha, remember, son of Yashwant Sinha, stood there, ladies and gentlemen, and garlanded people accused of lynching. And he had come to my studio and I had told him, Jayant, I think you should be ashamed of what you've done. Because for all the good you will do in your political career, this moment will be the black spot on your career. And therefore, my point is to those who call themselves right-wingers. You cannot be right-wingers, say you're fighting for the right and be supporting lynchers and rapists at the same time. You cannot have this attitude that if you are pro-Hindu, then if someone who is a Hindu or from a Hindu organization commits the most ghastly crime, you will say it's all right because he claims membership of a Hindu organization. Why doesn't the Hindu Yuva Vahini sack and throw out Sushil Prajapati? Why can't they take a stand on issues such as this? Food for thought.
The Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 is partly in force. The Digital India Act is still being drafted. Inside that gap, agentic AI is shipping into Indian enterprises every week. 3 voices on stage who have spent decades on 3 different parts of this question. Moderated by lovely Sheena Bhalla again. Let's welcome our guest on stage with some energy in the room. Can we have some energies?
India is not short of legal frameworks and bills. We've spoken about earlier, our lovely introducer told us we've got the IT Act, we've got the DPDP, we've got MADI guidelines, and we've got a proposed AI bill that's in the work that we're going to hear from Mr. Pawan. But the gap I want to spend the next 30 minutes on is whether we have the rules that are truly needed for a system like ours, which is scale, which is taking in supply chains and building innovation scale models on it. So I have the fortune of having 3 phenomenal voices. Really, really excited to have this conversation. I'm going to start with you, Osama. My question is, who do you think confessed? Was it the tool? Was it the company that deployed the tool? Or was it the government that deployed the ecosystem?
No, the data that you fed to the system, the data, the source of data. So if the source of data is biased, then it is replying. The system is honest. The system is not thinking that I have to reply to the question that who is asking and therefore I have to be nice to that person. It's replying from the data it is fed, the bias that it is fed, the previous virtue that has been fed into the data, But unfortunately, the data that is fed, I just wrote when you said delete of data is deletion of agency. Data is mine, but if my data is deleted, my agency is deleted, I am deleted. That's what you said in RAGA. So, in AI, this is very, very important, is that, how the system that we are making, we may be extremely premature, maybe a couple of decades immature to start relying on AI systems. The kind of data that it requires to behave thinking and therefore I think is that even though we have adopted AI as a tool that we must adopt, we need to still question is that how much maturity it requires before you start relying on it.
Syed, I'd love to bring in your perspective here. Where do you think accountability lies?
Thank you so much, Sheena. I think there are 1 or 2 things. I think one is maybe perhaps for the first time in the human history, we have more data than we can understand actually. Earlier, imagine 20, 30, 40, 50 years back, you were searching for information. You were waiting for a newspaper to know what happened in another village or what happened in the other city. And today, the millions of data sets created, even as we are talking, is already live. People are watching all across the world and all. But I think in this process of opening up, making digital identities and all, the responsibility of the systems has not been the discussion as it should have been from a day one. So that means the big tech platforms, when they build, they say security by design, but do we really know what that really means? Does a person, a farmer on the ground really understand when the data is captured, what kind of data is captured?
Given we're discussing whether it's the individual or the builders, and you've been working in this space across legal frameworks, like, how is the government thinking about it? How are you thinking about it? And who do you think is responsible?
Clearly, we have to come out of our medieval age mindset where we marry harm to one actor. And the law says, look, this actor needs to be punished or needs to be penalized. This thing is because that was a different world we were living in. Today, when we are talking about AI, specifically agentic AI, there are numerous ramifications that you are not aware of. For example, before you build an AI agent, do you know who created the AI agent? Do you know what's the logic behind the AI agent? And I go further. I go to these new latest platforms which allow you to build an AI agent. You're only being given the scaffolding. You're not being told the basis of what's going to be behind the AI agent's thinking process. And now with the ability of AI to get more autonomous, to go ahead and even take autonomous decisions to bind me, I think the time has come where we'll have to have a multi-layered approach towards liability.
Thank you so much. It has been an honor. I do think we haven't really resolved the question that we came up with, which was who is actually accountable. But what I'd love for the audience to take back is, having heard these experts and domain experts in this space, if there's one thing that you could do different in how you engage with AI, how you deal with AI, how you use AI, then please do think of it. And thank you so much. It has been an absolute honor. Thank you for your time and your brilliance.
Our next speaker, who was here yesterday as well, and his name definitely garners a lot of interest and gets a lot of people here on the seats. Please welcome the founder, chairman, and editor-in-chief of Republic Media Network, Mr. Arnab Goswami.
This session has been described for some reason as the last journalist. I don't know why they have said so, because it is a way of my claiming that I'm the only journalist in the country or the last journalist in the country, both of which are very bad. There is this assumption that technology can do anything. Technology can act, technology can direct, technology can paint, technology can do poetry, technology can do music. And so technology can also do journalism. What's the big deal about journalism? What is the big deal about being a journalist? Everything is replicated and replicable. But I'll tell you, technology can do a lot of things. It can do the mechanics of news production. It can take you to the limits of news production. It can render a graphic beautifully in a short period of time, you know. It can edit a video to near perfection. It can, in fact, in the last budget that we broadcasting, Sarvam AI partnered with Republic, and Sarvam AI did a live translation of Nirmala Sitharaman's speech with a latency of 30 seconds. We thought the latency will be 1.5 minutes. And it was live translating it into Bengali, live translating into Hindi. And it was incredible because Nirmala Sitharaman was seen to be speaking pure Sanskritized Hindi in her speech. So technology is a force mobilizer. It can get people across multiple languages and beam it to different audiences. It can do a lot of things in terms of expanding your reach. But you see, it cannot do what the purpose of journalism is. And what is the purpose of journalism? purpose of journalism is not efficiency. It is gut instinct. AI can give you information on a story, but it cannot make your heart beat faster with the coverage you do on a particular story when you're speaking for the people. AI, artificial intelligence, can give you their technology, assist you to produce the story, but technology does not have a moral compass. It starts hallucinating in its own way. Technology doesn't tell you the difference between right and wrong, between black and white, between truth and falsehood. And that is the biggest problem as far as AI and technology in the context of journalism is. It actually makes me very happy, because then I can never be replaced. My reporter can never be replaced. The human being can never be replaced. At the end of the day, a machine is not a human being. And you need human beings to read and follow human beings. Imagine a world where all of you were sitting here and the guiding force behind you, deciding your feelings and emotions and responses to story, was not a Arnab Goswami, but a robot. Maybe you'll say robot would be better. But trust me, at some point of time, I would differentiate between right and wrong. A robot would not. So when you speak of the last journalist, I hope that day never comes when there is a last journalist. Because the last journalist disappears, then our society goes forever.
Stefano Falaha built Podio into the largest podcast platform in the Middle East and North Africa, from a region most venture capital underwrites cautiously. He is on stage today on what India's creator economy can take from that build and what it cannot. Please welcome Stefano Falaha.
My journey starts about 10 years ago, and I was very young at the time, still young. But back then, I think what really brought me into the medium is that I realized that we all have voices that go silent. And so in 2020, just before COVID hit, I onboarded my second startup, and that was an audio social network. And back then, the idea was, if you had a few minutes to the stadium, if you had a few minutes to commute, we're going to personalize content that's personalized for you. Now, what did this all learning tell us? This told us that we want to consume personalized content, and we want to be at the forefront of what is being fed to us. Today, we power tens of millions of listeners around the world. We have tens of thousands of creators. We've raised the largest funding round in the Middle East and North Africa for the podcasting economy. And so all of that compounded learnings have led me to this journey today. The next 10 years, we are all going to be attention free, right? We're going to be controlled. Our attention is going to be sacred. Maybe it's going to be equivalent as much as time, as much as money, because every single second of your attention is being monetized. And you're not taking any of that. You're a listener, doesn't matter. You're getting ads. You're a creator, also doesn't matter. The big platforms take money from you and they don't revenue share. And so all this to say, because the social media wave has effectively brought us to a very short-term attention span. And that has led platforms to continuously push content to you and to continuously control what you want to consume. And so there has been some phenomenal developments in the podcasting industry that has really catapulted the industry. I think last 2 or 3 days ago, there was this new report that podcasting is, I think, a $9 or $10 billion industry, up from 5 a few years ago. So that's progressing extremely quickly. To us, India is our stepping stone when it comes to the next big global power for voices, and we're just getting started. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this. I hope the lessons and the learnings and the story was helpful. And thank you very much to the ImagineX team for having me, and thank you so much for Mumbai being the city of dreams. Thank you.
Maharashtra is the first state to create a formal MICE bureau, and the MICE bureau is now going to function in order to facilitate getting large conventions, events of this nature, and much more kind of thing is being planned. So we have recently created MICE bureau with say governing structure, and office is also being set up. So MICE bureau will start functioning very soon. Secondly, it's also going to attract various stakeholders in the functioning of the MICE bureau. So there will be representatives of hotel sector, transport sector, logistics, travel and tourist agents, etc. So they will all be part of this functioning of the MICE bureau. So it becomes more private enterprise along with the government officials. Secondly, not only in Mumbai, but we want to have MICE centers throughout the state. So UD of Maharashtra government has come out with a policy promoting MICE centers at 6 divisional centers like Nashik, Sambhajinagar, Pune, Nagpur, and about 2 in MMR region. So there will be additional incentives given for development of big MICE centers in these places. We are also trying to have curated experiences along with these MICE centers. So a delegate will come, but he should be able to see some other things apart from the main event. So curated experiences will be tied up with MICE centers, as well as now another very interesting tourism activity that is being undertaken in Maharashtra is that we will develop about 100 sub-circuits in Maharashtra as part of Vikasit Maharashtra tourism plan, where these sub-circuits will have all the necessary infrastructure, and so when someone comes to a MICE event, so he will be able to experience these sub-centers with good facilities, sort of curated experiences. So that's how we expect that MICE as a destination in Maharashtra will pick up in a big way. So when a tourist comes to Maharashtra for one thing, he will find there are other 5 things which needs to be explored. So it has very pristine beaches, not very crowded beaches, clean beaches, and there are many other adventurous activities that are also available to tourists who come to coastal areas. So we are expecting them to explore our coastal areas in a big way. Apart from these beaches, we have about 350 forts, out of which recently only 12 forts have been declared as UNESCO heritage sites. So there is a lot of history and heritage, special cuisine that needs to be explored. So people can of course explore this fort related heritage. And then we have wildlife like Tadoba, Pench. So though it is far from Mumbai, but I'm sure people would like to also explore this. And Tadoba, Pench, they offer very unique kind of wildlife. Then Melghat, which is again very unexplored and very large tract of forest which can be experienced. Apart from that, we have of course rich cultural and heritage structures like Ajanta, Ellora, Elephanta. These are unique in a sense that no other destination can have such rich heritage. I mean, one can actually see them and then get awed by the rich heritage culture which Maharashtra offers. Then we have these religious circuits, we have Ashtaminayaks, we have Jyotirlings. So there are temples which are built say 1,000 years back, and they are very beautiful structures. So there is so much to explore, and I am sure all this cannot be explored in one visit.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you here with us, to all of us out here and the digital audiences who will be watching us. Now, before we get started, I think cumulatively on this stage, there's over 100 years of hindsight experience that comes about when it comes to the Indian IT space. Three of you gentlemen are pretty much at the spearhead of how this country is going to be using AI over the decades to come. And the heart of this conversation is really 2030. How do we calibrate an approach that is realistic, but also is going to be appeased? Mr. Chandrasekhar?
Yeah, I think that the critical question is, have we really thought through how such a powerful technology like AI is going to help us shape our economy and our lives? And what do we need to get there? And there are many, many reasons apart from it just being a powerful technology, because today we live in a world where everything is being weaponized. So resources, everything is getting weaponized, and tech is at the front end of all of that. And AI being so powerful, the question of what do you do if it does get weaponized becomes important. So the sovereignty question has also been brought into the picture, and the whole security implications have come in. So I think the question is, A, in what way do we think we will use AI which is most beneficial economically, and have we thought it through?
Dr. Natarajan?
No, but I think that's absolutely right, because I've heard this from Yogi Berra, the great football coach. Same thing. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. But I think it's absolutely critical. We need to have some goalposts in mind. I mean, today if you compare, today, by the way, there's a lot of disillusionment in youth that, look, has India lost the plot as far as AI is concerned? Primarily because, I mean, if you look at the big names that come out, whether it's Anthropic or whether it's OpenAI or NVIDIA, it's all US, massively funded, massively privatized organizations. If you look at China, on the other hand, there is a whole ecosystem of Chinese government, universities, research institutions, and of course entrepreneurs who are coming together to the party. So that's why you see the DeepSeek and so many others. And in India, I think we're worried that, look, I mean, have we got behind in the sovereign AI race, in the LLM race, etc.? And I think the answer to that question is not to be defensive and say, yes, of course we'll do it. We have Sarvam, we have so many others. But I would echo what our Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw very categorically said. I think it was in the AI summit, where he said, look, we are not here to play or even try to lead in the energy layer or the data layer to that extent, but it is the models and applications.
Mr. Purushottam?
So building AI, certainly I think there are lots of areas where we are struggling. Now, can we use DPIs to build AI? I think that's another question, because everybody is trying to leverage what they have. If US has the capital, US has the innovation, they are building on top of it. China is figuring out, like, obviously they have the market, but they have been able to create such a strong last 2 decades of very strategic choices. They have been able to cover energy, they have been able to cover the whole constraint-based innovation, if not like pure innovation. And I think India is still to figuring out, like, what are those important levers that we can play for building AI.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आग मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बढ़ाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और परेशान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police...
प्यास बुझाए ठंडक लाए सबको भाए जीरा से MTH का जलजीरा जीरा से
जीरा सिर्फ असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
MTH
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence...
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome viewers, you're watching live and breaking on Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra. Now viewers, in a big crash at Assam's Jorhat Air Base, at least 5 Indian Air Force personnel have lost their lives, while the co-pilot has now survived the crash and is currently receiving treatment. Getting you all the updates on that and more, but first up a quick check at the top headlines. 5 Indian Air Force personnel killed after AN-32 crashes during a landing at Assam's Jorhat Air Base. The co-pilot survives the crash. After 5 Indian Air Force personnel killed, Air Force now orders for court of inquiry to be constituted in the Assam crash. Massive uproar in Jammu over atrocities committed in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir against protesters in a long march. TMC rebel MPs arrive in Delhi to hold crucial meeting with Suvendu Adhikari on Sunday. External Affairs Minister Ajay Shankar dials Marco Rubio to protest strongly against the US Navy strikes that killed 3 Indian seafarers. Big win for Indian defence as the DRDO successfully conducts a 3 consecutive flight test showcasing multi-layered ballistic missile defence. Welcome viewers. Now starting with the row over medical student Sejal Pawar's remark during a stand-up comedian Praneeth More's show has now escalated. Sejal Pawar, who had made comments about comparing the size of male cadavers of private parts, has now been sent on 15-day forced leave. In fact, her entry into hostel and college premises has also been banned, and a 5-member committee has now been constituted, which will be submitting its investigation report within 7 days. So we are looking at some major action being taken against Sejal Kumar, who was present at Praneeth More's comedy show and in fact has been receiving much backlash over the comments that she made about comparing the private parts of male cadavers at the show. Now, in fact, she had issued an apology, but the question is why were obscene comments passed off as comedy at this show? And that has been the major point of backlash that's now been growing against both the accused in this case. All right, my colleague Revati also joins me with more details on this. Revati, take us to the action now been taken against Sejal Pawar. We understand that there's a committee that's now been constituted which will be submitting its report as her entry has now been banned into hostel, as well as she's been now sent on a 15-day forced leave.
Yes, as you mentioned, that is Dr. Sejal Pawar, who also commented on the private parts, male private parts, was firstly issued an apology video, now is forcefully sent on a leave for 15 days. Her hostel entry and college entry is banned as of now for 15 days. Also, the MARD, Maharashtra Association for Resident Doctors, this association, though they have took a neutral stance, though they have said that public targeting is not right, they have also condemned this very incident which happened. So considering the entire thing, after constituting an committee, now a decision is coming that she will be not allowed to enter the college or attend classes for next 15 days. And moreover, she is summoned by the Maharashtra Cyber, along with her Praneet More and Himanshu, of course, are summoned by the Maharashtra Cyber Police. Next week, they are expected to be presented before the Maharashtra Cyber Police. So it will be important to see that what happened next. Over to you.
All right, Revati, we'll continue to track all the developments coming to light in this case. For now, thanks so much for joining us and giving us these details. Now, viewers, the Indian Air Force has confirmed the loss of 5 personnel in the AN-32 airport crash at the Jorhat Air Base in Assam, and said a court for inquiry has now been ordered to ascertain the cause of the crash. Now, the aircraft are met with an accident during a routine sortie at around 10 a.m. early in the morning today. The incident, in fact, occurred when the aircraft AN-32 belonging to 43 Squadron carrying cargo was landing at the airbase area. Now, the deceased personnel are Squadron Leader Prashant Singh, Flight Lieutenant Shubham Kumar, Sergeant Jitendra Sharma, Agnivir Vayu Kemirang Kumawat, and also Agnivir Vayu Danish Alam. So these are the 5 Indian Air Force personnel which have lost their lives in this accident. Emergency response teams, including firefighting units, were deployed at the site immediately after the accident, but the 5 could not be saved, while the co-pilot has now survived the crash and is currently receiving treatment. All right, my colleague Ishan also joins me with more details on this. Ishan, take us through the investigation that is now being carried out into this accident to ascertain the cause of the crash.
The crash occurred in the morning 10 a.m., around 10 a.m., wherein an AN-32 while landing suffered technical difficulties, and because of those technical difficulties, it overshot the runway, and it kind of broke out into 2 pieces, following which a massive fire occurred, and this was the primary incident that had happened. Now, this happened at Jorhat Air Base in Assam, and the entire investigation is now focused on what technical aspects were there that caused the crash to occur. Right. Now, this loss of 5 people is a very tragic loss that we can see, wherein Squadron Leader Prashant Singh, Flight Lieutenant Shubham Kumar, Sergeant Jitendra Sharma, Agnivir Kemkaram Kumawat, and Agnivir Dinesh Alam have lost their lives. And now this is a very tragic incident, and this is needs to be investigated in detail. The investigation court of inquiry has been ordered for this particular incident, and the detailed report will be released once an investigation is finally completed. Now, these older aircraft, especially the AN-32s, did not have black boxes, so this will prove a bit difficult for the aircrew and the investigation teams to determine the exact cause of crash. However, the survivor of the pilot or the second in command of the aircraft is a positive sign, because it be able to provide insights into the exact cause of the crash.
All right, of course, we'll continue to track all the investigation that is unfolding in this case, which will ascertain the major cause of the crash. Thanks so much, Ishan, for joining us and giving us all these details. And now we are shifting focus. Pakistan-occupied Kashmir continues to remain on the boil. Fresh visuals have now emerged from Rawala court showing how Pakistani forces are using brute force on civilians, which are taking to streets in large numbers to protest as anger against Islamabad and Pakistani military establishment continues to grow on the ground. Now in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, viewers, 46 protesters have reportedly died during this ongoing agitation that has continued for the past several days now. In fact, according to our sources, more than 1,100 people have also been arrested during this period. We're getting you visuals from, in fact, not just in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but also inside Pakistan Parliament, where the revolt has now reached and slogans against China and Islamabad were, in fact, raised. All right, viewers, we are looking at this revolt now extending from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and to now reaching Pakistan's parliament, where we see the slogans against China, slogans against Islamabad now being raised. So there is a pent-up anger against Asim Munir, against Shehbaz Sharif, which is now unfolding on the streets of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir as citizens now take to streets to protest and to demand more freedom in this case. In fact, viewers, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir Refugee Organization SOS International also held protests in Jammu against the killing of civilians in the area by Pakistan armed forces.
BJP refugee cell is holding protest against Pakistan over the atrocities that are being committed upon Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir people. And here you will see that the large number of people, they have come here and they have united here. One call that they are giving, that is the demand that the stringent action should be taken against those who are committing atrocities upon the people of Pakistan, and they want that there should be India's final decisive action that should take place. I have few people with me, will try to speak to them. मुझे ये बताइए आप लोग मांग क्या कर रहे हैं?
हमारी यही मांग है, अगर पार्लियामेंट में पास हुआ है कि पीओजे के हमारा हिस्सा है, इससे बेहतर मौका हमारी हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट के पास बेहतर नहीं हो सकता। वो लोगों को एक हक की अपने रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी की लड़ाई में शरेआम गोलियां मारी जा रही हैं। और वो लोग कौन हैं जो रजौरी पुंछ की बेल्ट से लोग वहाँ एक बेहतर भविष्य के लिए गए, मगर हमारी उस टाइम की हुकूमतों ने वो हिस्सा पाकिस्तान को दे दिया। आज वो पीओजे के लोगों को खाने के लाले हैं।
वो पीओजे के जो है वो आपको पता कि हमारा हिस्सा था, क्योंकि हम लोग वहाँ से आए, हमारे पूर्व जो है वो अपनी ज़मीन जायदादें वहाँ छोड़ के आए, और किस तरह से जब पार्टीशन हुई किस तरह से कबालियों ने वहाँ पे हमला किया और कुछ लोग हमारे वहाँ रह गए।
तो वैसा ही हमला अब हो रहा है, ये वैसा ही हमला अभी भी हो रहा है, कि ये वही हमारा खून है, ये हमारे लोगों का खून जो है वो उस धरती पे गिर रहा है, बह रहा है, और इतना जुल्म और तशद्दुद वहाँ पे चल रहा है कि बच्चों और महिलाओं को भी बख्शा नहीं जा रहा। विरोध प्रदर्शन हो रहा है, जिसकी तस्वीरें जो हैं वो यहाँ पर आप जम्मू से देख रहे हैं, जहाँ पर तमाम जो लोग हैं वो यहाँ पर सड़कों पर हैं। ये पाकिस्तान अधिकृत जम्मू कश्मीर के वो लोग हैं जो लगातार जो हैं पाकिस्तान के प्रताड़ना झेल रहे हैं और अब सड़कों पर हैं। सर क्या कहेंगे, लगातार आम लोगों पर अत्याचार हो रहा है?
ये पाकिस्तान वाले जो हमारे PoK में रिफ्यूजी लोग रहते हैं उन पर बहुत ज़्यादा अत्याचार कर रहे हैं, और जो जनरल डार बन चुका है आसिम मुनीर, उसने नत्थे हमारे जो PoK के रिफ्यूजी लोग रहते हैं वहाँ पे उन पर गोलियां चलाई हैं, और जो हमारी माता बहनें प्रेग्नेंट थी उनके ऊपर भी गोलियां चलाकर उनकी हत्या की है। बहुत जुल्म कर रहे हैं ये लोग, और हम अपने प्रधानमंत्री
लगातार जो है यहाँ पर विरोध प्रदर्शन जारी है। आप देखेंगे तो हाथों में तिरंगे झंडे लिए ये लोग लगातार यहाँ पर विरोध प्रदर्शन जो है वो कर रहे हैं। सर क्या आप लोग मांग कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर लगातार, जिस तरह से हमने देखा कि निशाना बनाया जा रहा है?
सर पाकिस्तान आर्मी की तरफ से हमारे PoK के भाई और बहनों के ऊपर जो जुल्म और तशद्दुद, जो मुनीर खान जो जनरल डायर का रूप धारण करके हमारे लोगों के ऊपर गोलियां बरसा रहा है, हम उसका तोड़ जो कंडेम करते और अपने भाइयों को आश्वासन दिलाते कि हम इस दुख की घड़ी में, इस शोक की घड़ी में हम उनके साथ खड़े हैं।
All right, viewers, now we're looking at Anchor now, in fact, is spilling on the streets of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and not just that, also reaching Pakistan's parliament as people now take to streets in large numbers to protest against Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir and the brute force that's now being used by Pakistani forces on the civilians which are protesting in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. All right, viewers, that's all we could pack in this edition of Live and Breaking. Thanks so much for watching, and don't go anywhere. Coming up on the other side, TMC rebel MPs now arrive in Delhi to hold crucial meeting with Suvendu Adhikari on Sunday as revolt within Trinamool continues to grow.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
प्यास बुझाए ठंडक लाए सबको भाए जीरा से MTH का जलजीरा जीरा से
जीरा से असली रिफ्रेशिंग असली स्वाद असली मजा
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer go to AIIMS that night to try and fudge the post-mortem report? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking these questions. Now I ask you, am I right or wrong in asking these questions? And if I don't, who will? Will the government of Madhya Pradesh raise these questions? The chief
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बढ़ाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और परेशान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
राजा और मसाला,
प्यास बुझाई, ठंडक लाई, सबको भाई जीरा से। MTH का जलजीरा जीरा से।
जीरा सिर्फ असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
MTH।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape and hence we will celebrate him. We will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive. And the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then. This is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from, the BJP and hence he can be seen smiling after carrying out the act of rape. And people would celebrate him and say, no, our leader can do no wrong. That was another shameful moment for the right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, Jayant Sinha, remember, son of Yashwant Sinha, stood there ladies and gentlemen, and garlanded people accused of lynching. And he had come to my studio and I had told him, Jayant, I think you should be ashamed of what you've done. Because for all the good you will do in your political career, this moment will be the black spot on your career. And therefore, my point is to those who call themselves right-wingers. You cannot be right-wingers, say you're fighting for the right and be supporting lynchers and rapists at the same time. You cannot have this attitude that if you are pro-Hindu, then if someone who is a Hindu or from a Hindu organization commits the most ghastly crime, you will say it's all right because he claims membership of a Hindu organization. Why doesn't the Hindu Yuva Vahini sack and throw out Sushil Prajapati? Why can't they take a stand on issues such as this? Food for thought. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, not just for the people who are doing this, but for all of us. In fact, very often I believe the only way to
Our Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट अब बताओ स्वाद आया
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट.
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. I have the privilege
of addressing you on behalf of the Tourism Department, Government of Maharashtra, and the Maharashtra Tourism Development Corporation, the Director of Tourism. On behalf of the Honorable Tourism Minister, Mr. Shambhuraj Desai, the State Minister, Shri Indralin Naik, and the visionary leadership of our Principal Additional Chief Secretary, Shri Sanjay Kandare, Mr. Nilesh Gatne, the Managing Director of MTDC, and Mr. Mangesh Joshi, the Director of Tourism, Government of Maharashtra. I would like to welcome you on behalf of Maharashtra Tourism to this ImagiNext, the festival of India's Festival of Technology and Innovation. It is my honor to formally announce that the Government of Maharashtra's Tourism Department is the state partner for ImagiNext. The tourism policy of Maharashtra, which was set in 2024, is all set to attract an investment of more than 1 lakh crore rupees by the year 2030. We have already welcomed more than 37 lakhs foreign tourists in the last count which we did, and this was the biggest as far as the country is concerned. Not only that, we have a target of creating 18 lakhs new jobs, and we also have an estimated and 18.9 crore foreign domestic visitors who came to Maharashtra in the year 2024. I thank you all once again for coming here. Maharashtra is becoming the center where India's innovation, capital and ambition coverage. Tourism is one of the most visible expressions of that. On behalf of the Tourism Department, Government of Maharashtra, I welcome you all again to the ImagiNext 2026. Thank you, Jai Hind and Jai Maharashtra. Thank you very much.
There is no other Indian founder positioned to answer the question this fireside is built around: what does it actually mean to build technology that India owns? In conversation with the founder and chief scientist of Zoho Corporation, Sridhar Vembu. Please welcome them on stage.
Yesterday you put out a tweet saying that warning against AI becoming a crutch. Why are you against AI? What are you afraid of its potential impact on software developers, on young professionals? Do you think there needs to be some limit put onto AI, and are you working on anything in that sense?
No.
Mr. Vembu.
So I use AI pretty heavily. So for my own, a lot of it I'll say research, reviews. For example, I'll give it some piece of code and ask it to review. It's an excellent reviewer. It can surface ideas that you hadn't thought of. So in that sense, I'm actually a heavy user. I call myself, I pay for 2 of the AI subscriptions too. So, but the tweet was about high school students losing mathematics skills because they are not learning mathematics, they are learning to rely on AI, basically. And actually speaking, more broadly, we run a school in our village in K-12. We do not emphasize technology until kids get older. I think exposing kids to too much technology too young is detrimental. And it's not just me. Steve Jobs believed the same thing. Steve Jobs did not want his own kids using the iPad, all of that too young. And likewise with AI. They have to learn basic skills. You have to learn how to read and write and do calculations, arithmetic, all of that, without relying on the crutch of getting AI to write it for you, write a letter, all this. And this is not just old-fashioned thinking, because now a lot of research is coming that we lose skills, we even lose the judgment if we are not in it.
I spoke about information sovereignty. Let's not be dependent on the West for the narrative. We're speaking about sovereignty at a time when FDI inflows are negative. When suddenly there is a war, you feel the dollar is becoming stronger, and you are suddenly concerned about your overall, your forex reserves. And at the end of the day, my worry is, Mr. Vembu, that Silicon Valley has too much control over us. We are fooling ourselves by saying, oh, we are building our own way model. We don't need our sovereign models. We are a market. We are the best to apply their technology. Are we living in a fool's paradise?
I will speak from a historic point of view. When you ship cheap raw material, import the value-added finished product, that was the foundation of the East India Company. And we know how that turned out for us, right? When you give somebody else your cheap raw material, and all of the value addition is happening elsewhere and we are importing it, that's the foundation of the colonial economics, and that's how the East India Company came to rule over this continent. So that's why it's important that it's not merely that we are consuming somebody else's creation, it is the value we are shipping, it is the dependency we create. And I have said this openly, the risk is for us, Google or Microsoft or Amazon and Facebook, all of these companies become the new East India Company. And we have to be aware of this risk. That's a very real risk. It is not something mythical I just invented. And given our own history, we must be aware of this. And don't be fooled by the fact that there is an Indian CEO at the top. That's irrelevant to the discussion. It is whose laws, whose sovereignty, whose jurisdiction. It all matters. So it's very important to keep this in mind.
We've seen Oracle, Meta, Amazon, Cisco all announcing these major layoffs in the face of AI. You've been arguing that all of this is being done to accommodate and service the cost of AI itself, the cost of the hardware, the cost of the servers.
Correct.
So your argument is that people are being laid off by companies to service their investments in AI rather than as a productivity miracle. But what we should, AI was meant about improving productivity. So let me ask you the question on productivity. What is Sridhar Vembu doing, as much as you can say, on this critical word of productivity? Because if we are going to grow towards being a Viksit Bharat, we have to find our own Bharatiya model of productivity.
Right.
So what are you doing on?
Productivity is the key to prosperity. For a given amount of time, how much work we get done, how much we produce, all of that, that's the key to prosperity. It's also the key to having free time, all of that. If we can get machines to do some of the work, we get some free time. That's foundational. But then there's energy, all of that, energy use, all of those questions arise. I do believe we can be much more productive, even in software development, with very low energy intensity. That I believe with the conviction. So that's what is driving a lot of our R&D. We can actually make software development more productive without spending all these tokens, huge amount of energy spent on it, all of that. Now, coming to the topic you asked about the layoffs, it's actually this is not just speculation on my part. We are seeing the exact cost pressures. We have a data center right here in Mumbai. Most of our Zoho traffic either served out of Mumbai or Chennai, and we ping pong between them. So the current server cost right now, if we buy the same identical specification, is about 3 to 4 times as expensive as 6 months ago. In order to serve a single Zoho user, thousands of users, we need to buy servers. Those servers, normal servers, nothing to do with AI, they have become 3 to 4 times expensive because of memory. Memory prices went up because of AI. So AI sucked all the memory, and ordinary servers became expensive. Now we are in this uncomfortable position. Should we have to raise the prices, or should we cut some other cost? So many of the companies that face the cost pressure, we are private, so we don't have to report to Wall Street or Dalal Street all the time, so we don't have to worry about this because we can take less profit. But companies that are public have to report profit, so they control the one item they control, which is payroll. So they lay off employees. This is actually the primary reason for a lot of layoffs. The cost of all this equipment, capital, all of that, the capital capex has become more expensive. AI itself has also become very expensive, as Microsoft recently admitted. These two are driving the layoffs in an attempt to cost control. Again, this cannot go on forever. You cannot lay off everyone and be a company, Like Facebook laid off, 10% or 15% of staff. How many more 10, 15% they can go? So that's why I think there is a point at which they'll have to stop. Even they will have to stop. and reevaluate what we are doing with AI, all of that. Which is where our investment in intelligence without energy expenditure, I'm going to call it, or energy efficient intelligence. It's very possible. We are doing R&D. By its nature, it's long-term, very, what you call, you cannot predict exact results.
Right.
Whenever you invest in R&D,
Yeah.
but I have been working on this for last few years.
Yeah.
We're making very good progress. My team is making very good progress. That's about all I can say right now. I never want to hype anything up. We hope to be successful at it. That's how I say.
Let's give him a round of applause, a stronger one than that. Thank you very much, Mr. Vembu, for being an absolute visionary and for being just so original with everything. Sridhar Vembu, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Three educators on stage who do not agree on the answer. Moderated by the founder of Imagine Next, Deepak Lamba. Let's welcome our guests on stage.
So today I want to separate the idea of reform from the reality of reform. Three people on stage, three very different bets on what the new school should be. I'll start with you, Shadrach. You've spent decades working on learning for people outside the formal system. Farmers, factory workers, informal sector. The conversation about AI and education is almost entirely about universities. So, what's the conversation we are not having?
I think it's a very interesting question. Now, of the billion people who are contributing to the economy, of which 800 million people are in the informal sector, who contribute almost 50% of Indian economy. And they are forgotten. What we are always talking about is the 43 million who come into the tertiary system. And the question about degree depreciating, AI taking over, the conversation between the old school, where the universities are situated, and the new school, the new forms of learning, is actually a fallacy when it comes to these 800 million people who are not in any system.
Right.
And if you look at the school system, we are talking about 280 million children in the schools, but 280 more million young people who are not in education, employment and training. So for me, the true school, not the old school, not the new school, the true school has to be something very inclusive that enables us to recognize a variety of things. What the new school does not do, AI-based schools, and not the old school which is too slow, whereas the new school is too shallow. Now when it comes to the true school, we need to really think about the need for them to learn, to be in the lifelong learning paradigm, and design systems that cater to them in a manner that they can seamlessly, without having to leave their workplaces, but continue to learn so that they continue to be relevant and contribute to the economy without being pushed out.
You know, what does education for jobs that exist in 2030, what will it look like and who is it for? You know, you've been at Google Brain, you've been at Yahoo Labs, founded an edtech startup, you're now running an institute. You've spent about 2 decades seeing AI from inside the industry. What does a curriculum that actually prepares students for an AI-first economy look like according to you?
So today our graduates' main goal is to become a professional test taker, right? We are preparing for NEET exam, JEE exam, board exam, all the exams. Nobody is studying for the sake of studying or learning. We are studying for the sake of exams, right? Because that is the metric we have given. So let me give you a new set of metrics. How many Nobel Prizes India has produced? 12. Last 100 years, 100 billion people have produced only 12 Nobel Prizes. Israel has produced 14 Nobel Prizes. What is the highest ranking Indian university in the world ranking is IIT Delhi this year. Rank is 123. The top Indian university is ranked 123. Singapore has produced 2 universities in top 15. Right? How many unicorns have we produced? We look at, digital unicorns, we have 4. And obviously US has more than 1,000, right? So the right metrics will define the right education system. There are 2 very important qualities of students we want to produce, right? One is, and this quality is coming from Buddha. For me, Buddha is a great innovator. And he did 2 things very important. One was, he figured out the right problem to solve, right? When he figured out that there is a sick man, dying man, he realized that there must be a core problem to be solved, and that's what great innovators do. Today, our students are not aware of the problems to be solved in the country. For them, the problem to be solved is an IIT rank or a JEE rank, not, the suicides of our farmers and, not access to our, and pollutions and all of that, right? And that is the kind of innovators we want to produce, and we are not producing them. And that's why we are getting, the numbers we are getting.
Pearson is already in 5,000 existing institutions, right? How do you change a system that already exists without blowing it up? Pearson has been in India 25 years, textbooks, curriculum, assessments. You're now positioning yourself as digital first. What's actually changed in the way students learn? What does Pearson know about learning outcomes today that you did not know 5 years ago?
From our perspective, things have changed dramatically. Technology is taking over in all of it, and especially some of it I'll just very briefly touch upon. AI, we had embedded this into our English language testing curriculum, testing quite some time back. We had put it in so there is no bias in evaluation of English language learning. But what's happening when you come to higher education, we are now not just giving a content, we are giving a AI-enabled content to them. So people can ask questions, it can summarize a text, can elaborate on a particular topic, you can do on-the-go assessments for yourselves, video-based learning, and those are the things that we have not created just by ourselves, but it is what the students or the institutions are asking.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We have on stage the founder and CEO of Gabit, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, and along with him, Dr. Nikhil Jakatdar, founder, Gene Path Diagnostics. This session will be moderated by the founder of ImagineX, Mr. Deepak Lamba. May we please have a round of applause for the gentleman. Thank you.
Gaurav, you've built Gabit to bring AI health to consumers, wearables, coaching, nutrition. The honest question, how much of what Gabit does is actually AI, and how much of it is wellness with the tech layer on top? What can your platform actually prove it does for health outcomes?
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. Gabit is one word for good habits. Health is all about good habits, so that's why we coined it. So I think you can understand the genesis. We want to do stuff that you can do for life to improve your health. It's not about the faddish things that spike up today and go away tomorrow. It's about something that you can follow for life. I think when we talk about AI, we should actually talk about what is the purpose AI is serving for what we're trying to do. And I'll give you a few examples of what we've done and how we've used it. And I think it's served different purposes. It's not the same thing. So first of all, if you build a product, you have to make it easy to use. Otherwise, we will not use it. Like humans are lazy. We're all lazy. We want the least effort and the maximum outcome. So when you design a product, you actually think about how can you make it easy. Gabit integrates fitness, nutrition, sleep, stress, VO2 max, resting heart rate, a lot of metrics. And people started asking questions, what is VO2 max? What is resting heart rate? What does it even mean? What is a good resting heart rate? There is where we used AI to personalize or help people at scale. We built an AI health coach. It's the name of the coach is PEP. So you can talk to PEP. You can understand what these metrics mean. So that's another way of helping people understand this. And then I'll talk about it later a little bit more, but it goes beyond that. So today, one, of course, AI can talk to you so you understand it easily, but it also helps you understand history and find correlations. So now we've built Gabit into a platform where you can track 150 markers on one platform. So we have the smart ring, which some of you would know. And we also have blood tests on the platform. We have a smart scale. We have CGM, so you can track 150 markers. And now we use AI to help you assess across all these markers in one place. Because today, without Gabit, you would actually do this on 4 different platforms, even globally.
You came to genomics through personal loss, your mother's cancer. GenePath is trying to democratize diagnostics previously available only to wealthy patients. What does AI actually make possible in cancer detection today that was impossible 5 years ago?
Yeah, so both my parents were diagnosed with cancer. First my mother, then my father. My mother was diagnosed at stage 2. And breast cancer at stage 2 in the US has a 90% survival rate. So if you are caught at stage 2, there's a 90% chance 5 years later you're still alive. In India, that percentage is 69%. For many years, people thought, and this was true when my mom was diagnosed, she passed away. She should never have passed away. Because the one thing I learned, and I was not in that space 11 years back, what I learned is if 20 women have breast cancer, we treat it as one cancer. But 20 breast cancers are 20 different diseases. This woman's breast cancer is because of this mutation. That woman's breast cancer is because of a different mutation. But for so many years, they were all given the exact same chemotherapy. Right. And the ones who happened to have that match succeeded. The ones who didn't, they did not. And they said, yeah, it's cancer. But it's not cancer. It is, you have to understand what it takes to solve it. Those answers exist. But doctors have to find a way to keep up to speed. And it is not physically possible to read every paper that comes out. And so what I'm finding is what AI is helping with is put together all this data, make it accessible to doctors to be able to now get that much smarter. It should be a really good assistant to doctors who are motivated to keep up.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this chat. I wish you could continue. But
have you here with us, to all of us out here and the digital audiences who will be watching us. Now, before we get started, I think cumulatively on this stage, there's over 100 years of hindsight experience that comes about when it comes to the Indian IT space.
100 years each or 100 years cumulatively?
Cumulatively, I said cumulatively. I knew you'll catch me on that. So cumulatively over 100 years. And through the past few decades, there have been a lot of these buzzwords that have come about, right? We had the BBSs, the bulletin board systems that came in, then you had the information superhighway, you had the Y2K, the .com boom, the IT boom, cloud, a few more that you have tried to forget possibly. So is AI this decade's entry, or is it, in the Dilbert fashion, a truly epochal paradigm shift?
It is going to change the way we look at the world, organizations, our own careers. So there's no doubt it's a paradigm shift. How long it will take us, whether the reality will actually justify the hype that is today there, I think that's something we still have to wait and see. But clearly reimagination, re-engineering, re-architecting, everything's on the cards with artificial intelligence.
Lovely. Mr. Chandrasekhar?
Yeah, I do think that it's qualitatively different from all the other revolutions which we talk about, whether it is the industrial revolution or the steam engine or electricity. Because of the fact that it comes very close to the characteristics which human beings prided themselves on. Mm-hmm. Intelligence, cognition, the ability to think, the ability to solve problems. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it has really led us to a point of where we say, what is it that technology will do and what is it that we do, and is there anything that we can do which it can't do? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes it very different, and it's the pace at which it is growing. Mm-hmm. It's increasing. And as has often been said, when AI starts building AI, then it's going to be even more exponential. So I think we are confronted with very basic questions of what it means to be human. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that memory was slowly discounted when computers and memory chips and all that came. Now we are seeing even intelligence getting discounted. So if all this is commoditized, what do people do is a big question. So that's why it's fundamentally different, is my belief.
Excellent. Two overwhelming positive notes. Mr. Purushottam?
For sure, it's a paradigm shift. Maybe let me take 3 different dimensions. One, for sure, is convergence power. I don't think there is any other technology which is more convergent than this one, because whether we talk of biotech, whether we talk of energy, whether we talk of climate, whether we talk of manufacturing, AI has become a new horizontal. Mm-hmm. And adding significant value to each of the tech which is already in play for years together. The second part of it is the economic value or impact it has created. Over the last 3-4 years, whatever we call it, chat GPT moment, if you look at today's investment in the market, say around $700 billion or $800 billion this year in US itself, and if you remove that element of growth in the US markets, you will be left with almost like stagnancy, which would mean like if there is no AI in terms of economics, there is possibly hardly any economics left, at least in the terms of market valuation. I'm not saying in terms of impact, but then in terms of purely in terms of the economic understanding of investments or returns, whichever way you count it. Third dimension is more around geopolitics and social. Now, I have been to Davos so many times in the last 4 years. This topic remains the highest topic. And certainly Davos is a geopolitical event.
Yeah.
And there is no discussion which is happening without the mention of or impact of AI. Whether you are a part of Chinese ecosystem or whether you are a part of US ecosystem, or the elements of sovereignty and other things which goes around geopolitics,
right,
is certainly becoming the main element of what we call a paradigm shift. So there has been no such moment which has sustained at least for so many number of years, which has created these dimensions across.
This is the panel that captures the essence of what the last 2 days have been. It's been an overwhelming reality check as to what the possibilities are and what the steps are to reach that goal. And please give a big round of applause to our panelists out here who have joined here this evening. It's been a pleasure to have Mr. Chandrasekhar, Dr. Narayan and Mr. Purushottam join us here at ImagineX 2026. And we'll certainly look forward to rechecking this video in ImagineX 2030 to figure out how many of our thinking was on track, since everything's on video. On that note, you've been a wonderful audience. We wish you a lovely weekend. And once again, a big round of applause to all for you as well.
Before I sign off officially, we'd like to once again thank our main sponsors, Maharashtra Tourism, and officially call this a wrap on India 2030, on Stage 1, and on ImagineX 2026.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया? आया।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the...
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट अब बताओ स्वाद आया
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट.
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case
from Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Republic TV. I'm Yesu Bharadwaj. An Indian Air Force's AN-32 transport aircraft has crashed this morning in Jorhat in Assam. In fact, 5 Indian Air Force personnel have been killed, with only the co-pilot surviving the crash, who's also severely injured. Getting you all the details, a check on your headlines. Five IAF personnel killed after AN-32 crashes during landing at Assam's Jorhat airbase. Co-pilot survives the crash. After at least 5 Indian Air Force personnel have been killed in an AN-32 crash, the Air Force has now ordered for a court of inquiry to be constituted. Massive uproar in Jammu over atrocities committed in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir against protesters in the Long March. TMC rebel MPs to arrive in the national capital today. They're set to hold crucial meetings with Suvendu Adhikari on Sunday. External Affairs Minister S. Shankar dials Marco Rubio to protest strongly against the US Navy strikes that killed 3 Indian seafarers. A big win for Indian defense as DRDO successfully conducts 3 consecutive flight tests, showing a multi-layered ballistic missile defense. Viewers, now starting first with a breaking development that comes in from Chandigarh. A CCTV footage of firing in Sector 11 of Chandigarh has now surfaced. Now, in this very footage, a masked man is seen firing bullets from a point-blank pistol. Now, it's clearly also visible in the CCTV footage that after taking the same in the drugstore, shots were fired from an automatic gun on the person that was sitting at the counter. The CCTV footage shows a chaotic atmosphere inside the medic shop. Now, as per latest information, one person who was in critical condition has now succumbed to his injuries. Take a look at the CCTV visual.
ये आज 2:30 बजे की घटना है। ये जो सामने आप शॉप देख रहे हैं, यहाँ पर दो मास्क पहने व्यक्ति आए थे। इन्होंने जो शॉप के एम्प्लॉई हैं श्री जानकी दास, उन पे ताबड़तोड़ गोलियों से हमला किया है और उसके बाद ये भागने में यहाँ से कामयाब हुए हैं। एक व्यक्ति बाहर मोटरसाइकिल पे इनके साथ वेट कर रहा था, जिसके साथ ये तीनों यहाँ से फरार हो गए हैं। देखिए, अभी बहुत प्रिलिमिनरी इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, हम हर चीज़ को एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं। अभी ऐसा शॉप ओनर को कोई थ्रेट नहीं आया था, बट फिर भी हम हर एंगल को एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं। ये आज 2:30 बजे की घटना है। ये जो सामने आप शॉप देख रहे हैं, यहाँ पर दो मास्क पहने व्यक्ति आए थे। इन्होंने जो शॉप के एम्प्लॉई हैं श्री जानकी दास, उन पे ताबड़तोड़ गोलियों से हमला किया है और उसके बाद ये भागने में यहाँ से कामयाब हुए हैं। एक व्यक्ति बाहर मोटरसाइकिल पे इनके साथ वेट कर रहा था, जिसके साथ ये तीनों यहाँ से फरार हो गए हैं। देखिए, अभी बहुत प्रिलिमिनरी इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, हम हर चीज़ को एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं। अभी ऐसा शॉप ओनर को कोई थ्रेट नहीं आया था, बट फिर भी हम हर एंगल को एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं।
Now, viewers, also joining me live on the broadcast is my colleague Lalit from Chandigarh to get us a lowdown in the situation. Lalit, speak to us about exactly what unfolded. You know, shots were heard. One person has also succumbed to their injuries. What was the motive behind the shooting, and have the perpetrators been caught by the police yet?
Around 2:30 in the afternoon, panic rippled here in the Sector 11 medical shop when around 13 rounds of gunshots were fired from the automatic point-blank pistol. Behind me, you can see the shop, which is named as Sri Kumar Medical Hall, which is situated in Sector 11 in Chandigarh, when two persons who has covered their mask, the two unknown assailants, openly fired on the person named Janki Das, who hails from Himachal Pradesh, Rodu. Around 13 rounds were fired, and immediately they fled on the motorcycle, in which the third person has been waiting. Right now, police is further investigating this whole matter. Already the CFSL team, the forensic team and the Chandigarh police have made team investigation, and probe is already on. But yes, the way this whole incident has been come into light, the way in the CCTV footage it could be seen that two persons who has covered the mask have entered into the medical shop around 2:30 in the afternoon, openly fired on the cashier, the deceased person named Janki Das, who was immediately rushed to the PGI in Chandigarh, but who's come to the injuries. Police is probing all possible angle. Right now, what the initial input, what Republic TV has got, it has been said that no extortion angle has been found till yet. But yes, police is looking after all probable angle, as the way this whole incident has happened in the broad daylight. After that, panic have grippled all across Chandigarh. A big question is rising on the law and order situation, as this is not the first incident which has been reported in Chandigarh. Some months before, the way a grenade was being hurled in the BJP office in Sector 37, in the discotheque in Sector 26 also, openly it was fired. So in the past 7 to 8 months, there has been around half dozen such incidents which has been happened in Chandigarh. And today, the way this whole thing has happened, a question is rising on the law and order situation. But yes, now police have made the teams, police is looking after the CCTV footage and looking after all possible angles to nab the perpetrators, the unknown assailants who have openly fired on the medical shop. The deceased has identified as Janki Das, who hails from Rodu from Himachal Pradesh. Back to the studio.
Right, Lalit, thanks for getting us a lowdown on that situation. Now, in fact, viewers, shifting focus and taking a look at other stories. This one coming in from Rajasthan, a shocking case of alleged medical negligence that's emerged from Bikaner. Now, after a cesarean delivery at PBM Government Hospital, a woman is now battling kidney failure and also vision loss. Her condition has deteriorated sharply post-childbirth. Reports also point to multiple mothers facing serious complications after deliveries at the same hospital. Now, Republic also confronted the PBM Government Hospital principal over the rising allegations of medical negligence, and this is how that conversation went. Listen in.
पेशेंट 5 हैं या 6, कुछ बोल रहे हैं कि 5 पेशेंट आईसीयू में हैं, कुछ बोल रहे हैं कि 6 थे जिसमें से एक की जो डेथ है वो हो गई है। सच्चाई क्या है, नंबर्स कितने हैं सर अभी?
देखिएगा, अभी हमारे पास 5 पेशेंट टोटल मेडिकल आईसीयू में हैं। ऊपर के जो हम लोग बोलते हैं पोस्ट कोविड आईसीयू, उसमें हमारे पास 4 पेशेंट हैं, 1 पेशेंट हमारे पास नीचे भी है, तो टोटल 5 पेशेंट हैं। और 2 पेशेंट हमारे पास जो है वो एक्चुअली